Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen the miracle at the Meadowland. Well, what happens when it's reversed? We have our wild card game where the Minnesota Vikings will play in New Orleans against the New Orleans Saints. The miracle at the Meadowlands is probably still fresh in the mind of the New Orleans Saints, and I feel like that's on everybody's mind as the Vikings and Saints play in the wild card round of the playoffs. We are here in New Orleans. We have seen the AFC lineup set. The Baltimore Ravens will take on the Tennessee Titans, and the Kansas City Chiefs will take on the Buffalo Bills. All of the lower seeds have won. Can Minnesota follow suit? The Vikings will take on the 3-seed New Orleans Saints. Obviously a big game here. The Saints, the Seahawks and Eagles, unlike the Bills game, will actually know who they play if they win because this game happens first. The Saints win, they know for a fact they will be playing against the number 2 seed, which is the Green Bay Packers. And the Vikings know if they win, they will be playing against the San Francisco 49ers. So a big-time game here for both of these teams as we get set and ready for a monumental matchup in the Miracle at the Meadowlands rematch. And there's Michael Thomas, who had an unbelievably record-breaking year. And he's going up against one of the better secondaries in the league, and, of course, Harrison Smith, who is probably the best safety in football, in my opinion, to this day. Go Notre Dame, but, it is what it is. Minor bias, but, Regardless of the situation, here come Minnesota as the Vikings kick off to the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints will receive and put the ball in the hands of Drew Brees and Michael Thomas really early on, as there was Taysom Hill obviously on the return here. As there is the boy Drew Brees, the all-time record holder for passing yards. A whole string of records for Drew Brees. One of the best players in the game's history. The fact that he wasn't on NFL's 100 team doesn't make any sense to me. This man is undoubtedly one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Undoubtedly. But here comes Alvin Kamara, and there, speaking of Harrison Smith making the tackle on that one. Probably the best Notre Dame player in the league right now as we look at the New Orleans Saints offense. A pretty good-looking football team right here. They, unfortunately for them, had to get the 3 seed. It was just unfortunate circumstance. 3 losses, and they were the 3 seed. Pretty incredible season for NFC football teams. I mean, they're playing a 10-6 football team as the 6th seed. That's pretty incredible. Outside of maybe the NFC East, which has a huge issues of its own. And there's Michael Thomas and a big hit by Harrison Smith. So Harrison Smith, both tackles for the Saints, or for the Vikings so far. But Michael Thomas, man, what a powerhouse he has been this season. And it's just so hard to stop this man when he gets going. Just look at all these X factors and star players on the New Orleans Saints. They just got so much talent on this roster. And there's a nice little quick pass to the wide receiver. Who is that? Smith. As Kendrick's in on the tackle. New Orleans Saints, I think a lot of people think this team could go all the way. They had the unfortunate circumstance against the Rams in the NFC Championship game last time. Big, unfortunate mistake on that pass interference call that still lives in the minds and drives the Saints to do better. They don't want to be in a situation where they have to rely on a pass interference call. They want to be the best, like no one ever was. And in order to do that, they've got to come out there and play their best football. And they've got a tough opponent in Minnesota who is a very powerful football team. Minnesota's just probably thankful that they don't have to play the Packers in the second round. If they win, they are guaranteed the 49ers. So they're probably pretty happy about that. The Packers have had their number this season. As Drew Brees goes over, and he's got a man, and it's incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th down. So good defense there by the Minnesota Vikings. Unfortunately, unable to hold on. Even if he did, I don't know if he would have been inbounds on that play. As he tried to catch it, but I don't think even if he caught that, it would have been inbounds. So good defense, and that's going to bring up a 50-yard field goal attempt for the New Orleans Saints. And here comes the kick, and it's through the uprights, and good. So the New Orleans Saints up 3-0 on Minnesota. Nice and solid football start for them offensively, and they'll take a 3-0 lead. So 2 minutes have passed in this football game, and the Saints up 3-0 on Minnesota. A couple of big plays for the Saints, and that's all they really need, as there's Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints, getting ready to go on defense, which that has been definitely the biggest problem point for the New Orleans Saints. They have a really, really good offense, but their defense is lacking in a lot of areas, though it has played better this season than previous ones. But they're kicking things off, and they're ready to go as they are going to kick the ball off. A knee is taken, and the Vikings will take the ball at the 25. Well, Kirk Cousins just has to be thankful that he's not playing on Monday Night Football, because this man in primetime games is absolutely terrible. Not just in Monday Night Football, but also Sunday night games tend to be a very big problem for Kirk Cousins. So that is one of the big problems and why he might never win a Super Bowl, is because he's just absolutely not clutch in any sense of the word. However, an opportunity presents itself and a new season has begun, so we'll see. He's got a man over in the slot. I don't know if that was him, but regardless, Stephon Diggs catches the ball, and that's going to be a 1st down. I don't think that was the guy in the slot, but he had an opportunity there to just dump the ball, and there's Von Bell. Very talented safety right there in Von Bell. As Kirk Cousins back in the shotgun. A good play to start the game. And now once again, and there is, oh man, brutal. Cameron Jordan has had a stellar season. He has been playing his best football this year than I think he's played to this point, and he just continues to get better as he just makes another big play and a sack there for New Orleans. As that's going to bring up 2nd and 18. New Orleans has a 3-0 lead. Handing the ball off to Dalvin Cook. It makes a couple guys miss, and he's inside the 50 to the 49-yard line. 17 yards and a 3rd and 1. Huge play for Minnesota. That was massive. Absolutely massive play there. I know I just said massive, but still. Can't say that enough. That was a big play. I formation, though, for Minnesota. It looks like they're going to try and pound the ball. Nope, they're going to fake it. And they almost intercepted. Who was that? Eli Apple? It was, indeed. Eli Apple almost had the pick right in his hands. And that could have been a huge play. Sigh of relief, but also not really because it's 4th down and a punt for Minnesota. Yeah, too far away to kick the field goal. You just got to take the high-flying kick, and a bad one at that. What a brutal kick. That only goes 18 yards before out of bounds, and that is going to give the Saints pretty decent field position to start the drive. At that point, you're just better kicking the ball out the back of the end zone. But regardless, a defensive stop by New Orleans gives the Saints the football back, still up 3-0. Well, really bad punt there also doesn't help Minnesota, who, already sees some struggles offensively at finishing their drives. A pitch out to Alvin Kamara. Perfect blocking, and he takes it for 12 yards. And that's going to be a 1st down for New Orleans. And 2 rushes for 15 yards for Alvin Kamara. And he has been playing some terrific football this season as well. a big running back battle between these two. Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara, two of the best running backs in the league right now. The problem is, I think the Saints have a superior rest of their offense. And there's Michael Thomas, who's superior to pretty much every receiver in the league. This season, especially. A big-time first down for Michael Thomas, and that's going to bring up the Saints' first down inside the 40-yard line. Harrison Smith making another tackle. He's one of the kings at doing that for this Vikings team. And a handoff to Kamara. Hands the ball to about the 35-yard line for 3 yards, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and 7. The Vikings, I think, pretty massive underdogs. The biggest underdogs out of any of the games this weekend. And expected to lose by over a touchdown. So that's pretty crazy. But at the same time, you know, they have... Oh, there's been mishaps, but there's a big hit, and that's going to be recovered by Stephen, and the Vikings get the football back. And so just as I was saying, you know, this team hasn't been playing well. A big hit here by Harrison Smith, of course, out of Notre Dame. You gotta love Harrison Smith's just reinforcement ability, and that is just going to give the Vikings the football back after the big hit by HS. And Harrison Smith just coming in and knocking him down. Kirk Cousins fakes the handoff. Wide open receiver down the middle. And that's a big-time first down for Minnesota. So they're right back in this game. I was saying that Minnesota, you know, big underdogs in this football game. Kind of surprisingly. They've had some really big games this year, but their away record is 4-4. Their worst games, of course, coming on the road. And the Vikings, not a good end to the season either. So perhaps Kirk Cousins just doesn't have it in him. But, of course, this isn't a primetime game, which probably helps Minnesota more than you'd think. But here's Minnesota's offensive unit. A pretty solid team, all things considered. They put together here. There's Kyle Rudolph, also out of Notre Dame. Quite a few Notre Dame guys on this Minnesota football team. You know why it's good, of course. But the Saints have one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. One of the best receivers in the league right now, if not the best current receiver. And there's Kirk Cousins going deep. And he's got a man, and everything is just going right at him. Thielen. First down, 36 yards. And the Vikings with a huge play there. And they are inside the 20 at the 19-yard line. So a massive play over the linebacker. And that is a first down for Minnesota. And here comes Kirk Cousins, another pass play. And this one's knocked out of the hands of the receiver. And that's going to show the Saints defense. A pretty solid 4-3 defense right here as Cameron Jordan is playing absolutely unbelievable football. There's Kiko Alonso on his third different football team. And Von Bell and Eli Apple, a pretty solid... Wait, hold on. That's number 96. I don't think that was right. Hold on. That was weird. But, you know, it is what it is. A solid football team in New Orleans for sure. Even though the number 96 was showing up as Von Bell, which doesn't make any sense, but... Here comes Kirk Cousins, tosses the ball over to Dalvin Cook, who gains a yard or loses a yard. And that's going to bring up 3rd and 11. Yeah, I don't know where 96 came from, but he was there. He's considered a starter now because I say so. But Kirk Cousins now 3rd and 11. They've had some big plays, but they want to try and get in the end zone here. Throws the ball once again to Cook and loses 2 more. So a couple of bad plays there. And that's going to give Dalvin Cook -3 receiving yards as Kiko Alonso comes in. He sees the man running out on there and just runs over to him and knocks him down. As that's going to bring up a 39-yard field goal. Not quite a chip shot, but in the dome it definitely is nice. And they take those 33-3. here with 6:57 to go in the first quarter. So a pretty good start to the game for the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings. But the Vikings got really fortunate with Harrison Smith's strip on the receiver there as the Saints were driving. As Mike Zimmer trying to bring the Vikings to a Super Bowl. You know, the Vikings 0-4 in Super Bowl play. They really would like to see some Super Bowl time. And with how the 5th and 6th seed in the AFC won, they have a chance. And with a 3-3 game and being the underdog, you never know. Well, the Saints take it out at the 20s, and they take it to about the 26-yard line. So 3-3, Drew Brees has the football back and is about ready and set to go. So here comes Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. We bring you the entire broadcast of the game. If you guys are interested, the highlight reel of all 4 games will come out after all 4 games air. It's going to take me a few days to edit the video. But there's Michael Thomas for a big chunk, and that's going to bring him down 2 yards shy of the first down marker as Eric Kendricks on the tackle. Well, a lot of good things have happened for the New Orleans Saints this season. One of the better seasons they've had. The sting of not being able to go to the Super Bowl last year still lingering. And there's a big-time tackle there. And that's going to stop the Saints right in their tracks as Kendricks gets another tackle. No gain there, and that's going to be 3rd and 1. So an opportunity here for New Orleans to get revenge after last year's loss in the NFC Championship game. And then the year before that, 2 years ago, they lost in Minneapolis. And oh my gosh, that was brutal. Danielle Hunter with the sack, unblocked. And once you get someone unblocked on a play-action fake, you just got to hope that they bite, and he did not. 4th and 10, 9-yard loss from their own 27, and the Saints are going to have to punt the football. Of course, 2 years ago, the miracle at the Meadowlands happened. The Vikings obviously didn't really make it very far in the playoffs outside of that, but a big play, for them on winning that football game, and one of the craziest endings you'll see to a football game in recent memory. As we've had a lot of crazy moments in the NFL over the last decade, and I'm sure in this decade we'll make a lot more crazy moments. But the score 3-3 here in the first NFC playoff of the new decade. And the Saints gave the ball back to Minnesota. So the Vikings could very well, get something moving here. A good drive last time. Good defense on the last possession for New Orleans. There's a fake handoff going deep. Laying it out there. And he's got a man inside the 50. And a huge pass play to Johnson. And the Vikings get the football on the other side of the field. What a huge play. The Vikings only one rushing play to Cook. And now a short, quick pass over to Diggs, and that's a first down. That was a really fast play, and they got it out there quick enough. That's first down. Big, big play for the Vikings. Massive play for the Vikings, to say the least. As now, here comes Cousins. They hand the ball off for about 2 yards or so. 2nd and 2, or 2nd and 8, 2-yard gain. As the Vikings still have the football, a very good drive for them at this point. Can they keep it up, though? That's going to be the question, I believe. And now here comes Kirk Cousins, and he's sacked again. Cameron Jordan's second sack of the first quarter. And that's going to put that man in the zone. Yeah. Like, what are you going to do as, you know, a tackle against Cameron Jordan? You have no chance. But Cameron Jordan is now feeling it after his second sack. Just dominating the tackle there. But a quick pass by Kirk Cousins gets the ball inside the 40. Now they have an option for a really deep 50-yard field goal, or they can punt the ball away. I assume they'll probably kick the field goal here. Or try to. They will. This is a 54-yard field goal for the Vikings. Not a very easy kick right here. And it's off the crossbar. No good. Saints get the ball at the 44. That's a big play for the New Orleans Saints. They cannot get the job done as it bounces off the iron. And now the Saints have the football in great field position at their own 44. Almost just 6 yards away from midfield. Drew Brees tossing the ball to the receiver, who loses a yard or two. Ted Ginn Jr. And that's going to be 2nd and 12. So not exactly the best setup play there. It looked like number 29 tried to pick that ball off. Was that Xavier Rhodes? I'm not sure. I can't quite tell. But here comes Drew Brees. Tries the exact same play on the other side of the field and loses 3 this time. So they are down for a 3rd and 14 for another 2-yard loss, or it looked close to 3 yards. So they tried the same play twice on different sides of the field, and that didn't work either time. Normally you repeat a play when it's good, but they just thought that they'd catch them off guard. Good defense there by the Vikings, and it looks like the play is going to fizzle out here a little bit, as the Saints are probably going to have to punt the football. Not a good play for them. Good defense, all things considered. But probably not the best choice to throw the football to. And a bad snap, but he does get the punt off. That was really close, but it goes and bounces out the back of the end zone for a touchback with just 1 minute to go in the first quarter. So the Saints and the Vikings are at a stalemate. And now Kirk Cousins makes his way back onto the field in a 3-3 game. Plenty of time, plenty of time for Cameron Jordan and the Saints, but also plenty of time for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings to try and get stuff going. And speaking of strip sack, it is recovered by Minnesota, but Cameron Jordan has 3 sacks in the first quarter. This man is on fire right now. Cameron Jordan has just been absolutely unleashed as he gets a strip sack. Unfortunately, no turnover, but this man is in, I don't know what zone he's in, but I'm sure most of us want to experience what it's like to be in that zone. As he tosses it to Adam Thielen, who picks up enough yards to make it 3rd and 1. So they kind of get their yards back and make it reasonable 3rd down. 3rd down and just a yard to go. Will they get a playoff before the end of the quarter? No, they will not. And that's going to end quarter number 1. So 3-3. We've seen that number quite a bit through these playoffs so far. But it is, once again, 3-3. Now, this is where it really opened up in the last game as the Titans just dominated the Patriots in the second quarter. And that's what really put them on edge. So the second quarter has been really pivotal in these last 2 games. But this is the NFC. Will it be quite so important? I don't know. But a big pass play there gives Kirk Cousins and the Vikings another first down as Treadwell picks up 12 on his first reception of the game. So that's a big-time play there as the clock ticks down. A big first down for Minnesota. Definitely in their favor here. as here comes Kirk Cousins. They fake the handoff, looking, has time in the pocket, and incomplete. Good defense there as he knocks the ball down. Number 26 on the coverage. I'm not entirely sure who he is, but, you know, I haven't memorized everyone's names. I could have, but that would take a long time. Regardless here comes Kirk Cousins. One-man backfield. He hands the ball off, gets a juke. He's got some time and gets about 4 yards, so that's going to be 3rd and 6. So Dalvin Cook on his 3rd rush gains a small chunk of yards. Not too many, but not too few at the same time. 4 yards isn't too bad, making a slightly more reasonable 3rd down. Here come the Vikings, getting back ready, throws the ball, and it's just blasted. Dalvin Cook, oh, I thought he was going to be injured there for a second, but luckily not so much. As Sean Payton, excited for that defensive stop there. Great defense by Kiko Alonso, and that's going to force a Vikings punt. So another punt here on 4th down, and the Vikings kick the ball in out at the 27. So not exactly the best kick. They definitely could have tried a little bit better at trying to get that ball inside the 20 at least. But regardless, Drew Brees and the Saints have it at the 27-yard line after a not-so-great kick. People undervalue punting, in my opinion. I feel like punting is just so pivotal. It can really change the game. And a punt like that is just not so good. That's almost a free 1st down, to where even if you just kicked it out the back of the end zone. But Drew Brees and the Saints, they hand the ball off out to about the 34, and I believe that's Levaticus Murray on the run, if I remember correctly. I hope I do. I hope it's not the Josh Allen situation from the Bills game where I, called everyone Josh. All right. Another handoff here, and that's enough for the 1st down. So Alvin Kamara picks up another chunk of yards. He's averaging 5 per carry, which is pretty solid. And they get the ball past the 40-yard line to the 41. So the Saints are really rolling here. They're, working the clock a little bit. Not that they really need to, but they're getting those 1st downs. Here come Drew Brees and the Saints. Another run play. Another 1st down. And Alvin Kamara gets past the marker once again. So a big play there. His 37 rushing yards in the 1st half so far. He's been a very big force to this point in the 2nd quarter. Already starting off with a couple of big runs for back-to-back 1st downs and onto the opponent's side of the field. Less than 10 on the play clock. They get the play off at 8. Throw the football wide open to the tight end, and he gets it inside the 30 to the 27. So 20 yards there, and another 1st down. It's Jared Cook with a big play there, and another completed pass from Drew Brees. Brees has only won 1 Super Bowl in his career. A 2nd one could really boost his legacy tremendously. To be there with legends. I mean, think about it. Peyton Manning, for example. Eli Manning, for example. Eli Manning might not be a legend per se, but he is a 2-time Super Bowl champ, and that gives him a little bit of leverage in what people are saying could be a Hall of Fame career, ? He is one of the most average quarterbacks in the league statistically, but we'll see. Jared Cook gets a gain of 8, and Harrison Smith, another tackle for him. He has been all over the field. 2 yards away from the 1st down marker. And there's a pitch play. And it's not going to be enough. He loses a yard, and it's 4th and 3. So the Saints are probably going to have to try another field goal here to put themselves up by 1 score. We'll see if the field goal unit does in fact come out. You never know. If they were the Ravens, they'd probably go for it. But no, they do in fact kick the field goal, and almost blocked, but it is through the uprights and good. So the Saints now have a 3-point lead, 6-3 New Orleans. That goes almost right down the middle. Will Lutz has been absolutely terrific this season. Obviously, we can't forget the very first Monday Night Football game of the year. That Saints game was absolutely off the walls. I believe they played Houston, right? That was an absolutely incredible game where Will Lutz ended up kicking a 50-plus yard field goal to seal the game and win it for the New Orleans in opening weekend. There's been a lot of great games, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of great games still left in the playoffs. But we've seen 2 crazy games where the underdog has kind of shockingly took over, as Kirk Cousins has had a rough time handling the great Cameron Jordan, as Jordan has been in the backfield 3 times. Three sacks for Cameron Jordan to this point. The Saints' defense has just been monstrous. But despite it, it's been a 3-point game. I'm surprised to not see that much offense out of Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, and the Saints. Here comes Kirk Cousins. They delay handoff. Gets it for about 9 yards, and that's going to set up an easier second down conversion, just a yard shy of the first down marker. They have 2 more opportunities to try and get the first down before they'll have to punt. So Kirk Cousins is probably just going to hand the ball off here in the I formation to try and get Dalvin Cook past that first down marker. And that was close, and it was in fact encroachment. So that's going to give them the first down. They don't even need to run a play. The hard snap count out of nowhere draws the defense off balance, and they get the first down. Wow, a big penalty there for New Orleans, and that's going to give Minnesota a free first down. They didn't even have to run the play that they called. 9 minutes, 34 seconds to go until halftime. It's a 3-point Saints lead. Single backfield. An immediate pass to Adam Thielen, who picks up about 5. And that's going to count as a rushing play because he was behind the line of scrimmage when he caught that pass. So 2nd and 5. A much easier second down conversion. They go into empty with Kirk Cousins. Gets ready. He has a man, and he misses him. They had Kyle Rudolph wide open in the middle of the field, but Kirk Cousins, under pressure, just could not get the ball to him, and that'll bring up a 3rd and 5. It's kind of a brutal situation there for the Vikings, but they'll have another opportunity here. Kyle Rudolph was, in fact, past the line of scrimmage, or past the line to gain, so that would have been a first down. And intercepted right to the defense. And a couple of broken tackles, and I believe Adam Thielen just pulled the face mask, and he did. That's going to give New Orleans 15 extra yards. And that's going to put the Saints at, I believe, the 39-yard line of Minnesota for their play, as I believe that's Marshawn Lattimore with the interception. A massive play there, and New Orleans is in a fantastic position, up 3 and inside the opponent's territory at the 39. Here comes Drew Brees in the Saints offense, passes it over, and it's intercepted again. That was an incredible pick. Waynes jumps the receiver and picks the ball off. You can't even really blame anyone else for that one. The receiver probably should have done more to keep the corner off of him. But back-to-back picks. Look at this interception. He jumps over the receiver. Just jumps over the receiver to grab the football. Wow, what an incredible play defensively. And the Vikings get the ball right back. So back-to-back interceptions puts the Vikings just a little bit behind where they were originally. As Adam Thielen gets the football and goes up about 2 or so yards. And that'll bring up 2nd and 7. Klein in on the tackle. This definitely has been a pretty incredibly close game to this point. Back-to-back interceptions. Who would have saw that coming? The Saints looked like they could really push the issue and get in the end zone. But an interception right after the turnover doesn't help them out very well. And that's a huge run by Dalvin Cook for a big chunk of yards. Yeah, 15-yard play. And that's going to be a first down for Minnesota. Huge run by Dalvin Cook there. As here comes Kirk Cousins in the shotgun. Gets set. Throws the football out to Rudolph. Rudolph gets it to about the 45-yard line, which is a solid 8-yard gain. 2nd and 2. Kyle Rudolph actually receiving the pass this time. So that's a plus. As the New Orleans Saints have a 3-point lead. Kirk Cousins in the shotgun. He takes the snap, fakes the handoff. Looking, has time, throws deep. He's got a man, Adam Thielen, inside the 10 to the 5 and down at the 4-yard line. And that puts Kirk Cousins at 200 yards passing in the first half. And Adam Thielen has had a pretty solid game so far, and that puts him at 100 yards in 4 receptions. And then remember, we're in the first half still, and no touchdowns are on the board, and he already has 200 yards passing. Kirk Cousins steps back, has time, not as much time as he wants, and he throws the ball away. Incomplete. So that's going to bring up 2nd down and goal. 6:54 to go, second quarter. Down at the 4-yard line are the Vikings, and they have 3 points separating them and New Orleans. A touchdown here could give them their first lead of the game since the opening field goal. Or no, their first lead of the game, yeah, because the Saints scored first. And down inside the 1, but he doesn't make the end zone. That's going to be 3rd and goal from the half-foot line. Does Dalvin Cook. And now, here we go. Shotgun. I think Adam Thielen is wide open. There isn't a single person on him. Wide open could have been Adam Thielen, but he doesn't change the play, and they just get taken down by Manti Te'o, and that's going to bring up 4th and goal. So the opportunity of a lifetime wasted, as Kirk Cousins did not change the play and did not get Adam Thielen the football when he was wide open in the slot. There wasn't a single player covering him, and it's going to be 6-6. Missed opportunities have been a massive, massive issue in this game for both of these teams, but the score remains 6-6, tied with 5:47 to go in the second quarter. Neither team can really break away here in this game thus far. I don't think we've expected too much difference. New Orleans has a lot on their plate for sure. As here we go, the Minnesota Vikings ready to kick the ball off here. New Orleans back ready to return the kick. 6-6. And here comes the return. And taken down inside the 25 at the 24-yard line. So if he would have let that one go, it would have been a lot better. But regardless, Drew Brees and the Saints come out. Drew Brees obviously trying to shake off that interception. I feel like for Drew Brees, it's a lot different than when Kirk Cousins went out there. He threw the pick, and then they immediately got the ball back. He didn't have much time to dwell on the interception, but Drew Brees, he might be a veteran of the craft, but you got to know it stings a little when you give the ball right back on an interception of your own, and then linger there while the opponent scores points. As Drew Brees, about ready. They fake the handoff, throws the football, and gets it over to Michael Thomas inside, or past the 40 to the 45-yard line. And that's going to put Michael Thomas at 71 yards receiving, 5 receptions. That puts him at 154 receptions with the regular season and the postseason. He's had a record-breaking year, 149 regular season receptions. Was pretty incredible, to say the least. Drew Brees throws the football, almost intercepted again, right into the chest of the corner, and that one could have been another pick for Minnesota, but luckily for Drew Brees, it falls right on down to the turf. So Minnesota, 2nd and 10 defensively. They've been playing some really good football to this point. The New Orleans Saints stepping back, throws, open receiver, caught, and there is an injury timeout for Cook. That is not good. If you are wondering, injured players, it's going to depend on their injuries, but I think he's on the sideline. He's a little upset, but it looks like he's not being attended to by medical personnel, so he might be able to come back into the game sometime soon. But I will go in and personally remove them from the depth chart, so that way, as long as their injury is more than next week, then I will in fact keep track of that. But injuries are indeed on, so we, keep up the realism, I guess you could say. But Drew Brees throws another incomplete pass, and that is going to bring up a 4th down and 4 to go. And Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, and the Vikings have another shot to try and take the lead. And not exactly a good kick, but, that seems to be a theme where people don't really care about punting. As Thomas Morstead knocks the ball out at the 23. He definitely could have put that one a little bit better. Worst case scenario, they lose 3 yards because they go into the back of the end zone. That's going to be the key. You always want to kick it inside the 20 if you have the ability. And even if you kick it in for a touchback, they'll be at the 20. So you got to at least try to get that corner kick into the pylon. But regardless, here comes Kirk Cousins, throws the ball over the middle, open to Stephon Diggs, who catches it easily and has the 1st down at the 37. Kirk Cousins has 214 yards and interception. No team has any touchdowns with 4 minutes, 30 seconds and counting in the 2nd quarter. Still anyone's game so far. There's a pitch play to Dalvin Cook, who gets knocked down behind the line of scrimmage. It's going to be counted as no gain, no loss. And that'll count as a run stuff, one of the best, stats in the stat book. Single backfields, lots of tight ends here, and Adam Thielen out wide. Here comes Kirk Cousins, passes to Thielen. Thielen gets past the 1st down marker, and that is going to be another Minnesota 1st down. Adam Thielen having a good game so far. He's been hard to stop for the Saints, and that secondary's got their hands full. 111 yards and 5 receptions for Adam Thielen to this point, and he is just going on. Kirk Cousins in the shotgun, fakes the handoff to Dalvin Cook, looking, has time, throws deep, he's got a man, and it's caught. Stephon Diggs inside the 15 to the 10-yard line. 42 yards. Stephon Diggs, everything sticks to that guy's hands. What a huge play there. Looking, has time, and is sacked again. Cameron Jordan's 4th sack of the first half. Unbelievable. This man is just straight eating people alive out there. Just the right tackle has nothing he can do against Cameron Jordan with his 4th sack allowed in this game. Oh, man. What do you do against Cameron Jordan? 2-minute warning, 6-6. Cameron Jordan is just on fire in this game, unlike anything I've seen in a playoff game. This dude has a whole second half, and he's already got 5 sacks. But here comes Kirk Cousins in the shotgun. Has time, looking, throws over to Kyle Rudolph. Gets it to about the 10, so 5-yard gain. And that's going to bring up 3rd and goal. They have to get into the end zone on this play, or they kick yet another field goal. Seems to be the theme here in Wild Card Weekend. Not that I mind defensive football. Defensive football is defensive football, am I right? However, the Titans, changed that on its head a little bit, but... All right, here comes Kirk Cousins. Throws right before Cam Jordan came to mollywop him, and that's going to be a 1-yard loss. Timeout, New Orleans. And the Vikings are going to have to kick with a iced kicker. So New Orleans takes that timeout. Trying to ice the kicker for Minnesota. Kicking the ball from the 17. That's going to be a 27-yard field goal attempt. And it's easily up and good. So 9-6 Minnesota in this field goal swapping matchup. 1:25 to go. But the Saints have some big play power and 2 timeouts. So we'll see if they can do what the Patriots couldn't in the last game. And that is actually play offensive football in general. But no offense seems to have really been able to shine at this point. Both offenses have had their fair share of moments, but no touchdowns. No ability to get in the end zone to this point in the game. At 9-6, Minnesota leads. Their first lead of the game. They've scored 6 unanswered points as the Saints have not really been able to answer anything here in the second quarter. And there is a nice little kick. And it's going to be taken a couple yards into the back of the end zone and taken out to about the 25-yard line. So about to where he would normally go if he would have just taken a knee. But this Drew Brees and the Saints come right back out onto the field. 1:22 is what they have to try and get in there. The Saints would have more time if they didn't return that kick and just let it drop in the back of the end zone. But regardless, 1:22 to go. Drew Brees, empty formation here, not surprisingly, as they look to try and get the ball into the end zone or at least get it into field goal range before halftime. Drew Brees throws the football past the first down marker, and they're going to probably try to hurry the ball up, maybe. The problem is hurry-ups in this game take time. So it is going to happen very slowly, and there's a timeout by the Saints at 1 minute and 1 second to play. It seems to be a growing theme for the CPUs in this game to do. So a 3-point game. Minnesota leads right now by just the 3 points. 1 minute and 1 second to go. Drew Brees has the ball, 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. 2 in the backfield, 3 out wide. Wide open Alvin Kamara makes a guy miss, but they're going to have to try their best to hurry up and make something happen. Unfortunately, the no huddle was fixed in this game, so that way it takes a while for them to get to the line. And now there are 4 wide receivers out wide. Drew Brees in the shotgun, throws it open, gets it to the receiver. 30 seconds and counting. We saw this with Houston. There's a timeout at 21 seconds left. If they get tackled inside the hash marks, I think they just go to the half without kicking a field goal. So not exactly the smartest time to use a timeout here, but there's nothing I can do about it. Drew Brees in the shotgun, one man in the backfield with him. They want to try and get the ball out of bounds if they can manage. At least not take a sack. And there's a flag down, but I think he might have gotten both feet down. Pass interference on the Vikings. And Saints fans gotta love that. There's a defensive pass interference call against the other team. And that's going to put the ball at the 17-yard line with 16 seconds to play in the first half. So they have a shot at the end zone here. You just don't take a sack under any situation. Oh, no, they're just going to kick the field goal. They're going to play it safe with 16 seconds to play in the first half. The Vikings do get the ball to start the second half, though. And there it is, 9-9 with 13 to go. Minnesota does have all 3 timeouts. A big play to Adam Thielen could switch this game and turn it on their head, so I don't know if I agree with the decision to not take a shot at the end zone with 16 to play. But regardless, it's 9-9 now. The New Orleans Saints going to have to kick the ball off to the other team as the Vikings back ready to return it. All right, here we go. Will Lutz ready to kick the ball away, and he does. The Vikings will get the ball at the end zone, and they're going to take it out. 10-9 seconds to play in the first half. Do they take a knee? They get the ball back to start the second half, or do they, with 3 timeouts, take at least one shot deep down the field? Conservative or not, this is the playoffs. A lot of people might want to be a little bit risky to make those big decisions, and it looks like Minnesota is going to be one of those teams. They're in the shotgun, 3 wide receivers. Looking, has time. The tackle actually gets the job done, but he throws it out of bounds with 3 seconds to play. And I think that's just going to call it. They'll probably take a knee and just end the half there. I'd be shocked if they tried to do anything too crazy now with only 3 seconds to play. Good secondary play. Oh, no, they're gonna go for the Hail Mary here. So they got all of their guys on the left side except for one, in case their guy just blows past them. But there's the deep pass, and incomplete. And we're going to go to the half at 9-9. So a 9-9 football game between the Saints and the Vikings as both teams head into the locker room. So both teams head into the locker room and then immediately head out of the locker room because we ain't got time for that nonsense. And we're going to get started on the third quarter. So an interesting game so far, 9-9, no touchdowns. I feel like this is probably not going to happen in the real games, but, you know, it's very interesting to see what Madden has to say and how Madden mechanics work to make these games, happen. And here come the Saints. They're going to kick off the ball again to Minnesota. And the Vikings are going to get the ball with a tie game. So there is the knee, and the Vikings will take over at the 25-yard line. So, and a very interesting game to this point. Both teams still have opportunities to win. The Saints, obviously, big-time favorites here at home in New Orleans. But despite that, the Vikings have been hanging in on their own. And here in the second half, that's going to be the deciding factor. Minnesota does have 107 more yards of offense than the Saints, but it's still 9-9. There's a nice pass there. He gets it to his receiver for a first down, and that's going to put Kirk Cousins at 282 yards passing on the day. The Vikings offense has had no real trouble moving the ball. It's just getting in the end zone has been really difficult for Minnesota to be able to accomplish. Single backfields for Minnesota. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins under center. And there's motion, and they hand the ball off to Adam Thielen, who gets a yard. And that's going to be 2nd and 9. Not exactly the most well-designed play in the game, but, you know, we take what we can take. Regardless here, it's going to be 2nd and 9 at 9-9. Lots of 9s. And there's a draw play up the middle, and that's going to be a nice gain there for Dalvin Cook, and that's going to bring up 3rd and 2. So a reasonable 3rd down situation for Kirk Cousins. I will say, like, he looks a lot better, you know, in this game, you know, compared to what Kirk Cousins looks like, you know, the panicky, worried Kirk Cousins that we see every single Monday night and Sunday night football game. It's been a long time, probably not since he's been in, like, oh, that was almost sacked, and it's intercepted. Cameron Jordan with the disruption, and that's enough to get the ball into the hands of Williams for the interception, and the Saints take over at midfield almost. Actually, just past midfield. So the Saints with a huge turnover there. As you see, it just tipped by number 23, Marshawn Lattimore, who had the pick earlier in the game, I believe. And that got the pick. Cameron Jordan was this close to being able to actually get the ball, or get the sack, his 5th of the game, but it's enough to cause the disruption. And speaking of panicky, worried Kirk Cousins, we might be starting to see it in the second half of a playoff game. Not the best time for Kirk Cousins to make this mistake, but honestly, we haven't seen Kirk Cousins be quite the same since he left Washington, in my opinion. I feel like Kirk Cousins has kind of declined since his leave in Washington and time here in Minnesota, as there is a play-action draw play as they fake the throw and run the ball up the middle for 8 yards, and that's going to be a 3rd and 2. So a big play there for the Saints will put it in a reasonable position for 3rd down. Just 2 yards away is New Orleans. They have the ball, single backfield. Looking, has time, dumps it over the middle, and Harrison Smith knocks him down, but not before he gets the 1st down, is Jared Cook with his 5th catch for 55 yards. Harrison Smith trying to force another fumble as he just blasts him. But not good enough, as Drew Brees is starting to get into the groove here on this drive. Sends a guy in motion. Less than 7 seconds. Okay, there we go, on the clock. Throws it wide open and stripped again. There's Harrison Smith again with his 2nd forced fumble. And another turnover for New Orleans as Harrison Smith forces a 2nd fumble. Watch Harrison Smith come in here and he just blasts him for the strip. And that's a huge turnover for New Orleans as Harrison Smith comes in and strips the ball. The 3rd turnover of the day for New Orleans. Kirk Cousins has still had his 2 picks, though, and it's been relatively even in turnovers. But the Vikings do stop the Saints at the 9-yard line. If he didn't get the fumble, that could have been a major turning point in this game. The Saints could have had a touchdown, but instead, the Vikings with possession, their 3rd takeaway of the game. Kirk Cousins throws, got a man, and Adam Thielen catches it for a short gain. That is Kirk Cousins' 20th completion and Adam Thielen's 6th catch. As the Saints defense, 3 yards till the 1st down. Cameron Jordan is a guy to keep an eye on there on the right side of the offensive line, or defensive line. And there's a sack. Hendrickson sacks Kirk Cousins. I believe that's the first player that isn't Cameron Jordan to sack Kirk Cousins today. I could be wrong about that, but it definitely seems like it for sure. 3rd and 10 for Minnesota. 10:15 to go and counting in the 3rd quarter. Fakes the handoff, throws past the 1st down marker, and he gets it to Kyle Rudolph, and that will be a 1st down for Minnesota. So they make up ground it a little more as Kyle Rudolph gets his 4th catch for 26 yards. A nice little pitch and catch there to Kyle Rudolph for Minnesota, and it's 9-9. But they have a little bit of a drive going here as they get the first down. They hand the ball off to Dalvin Cook, who gets immediately stopped in his tracks. Loss of a yard. Big defensive play by Hendrickson, his second tackle on this drive, let alone like in the game. As single backfield for Minnesota. I don't think anybody really saw this much defense being played in this game between two very offense-oriented teams. But both of these defenses have come to play. Kirk Cousins, 304 yards passing. He's been playing, you know, decently, but those 2 turnovers really, really hurt his team. But too bad the Saints haven't been playing much better, in all honesty. Kirk Cousins stepping back, throws the ball in the screen right into the ground because their running back got held up there. And that's going to bring up a 4th down, so they can't quite make anything happen. And that's going to result in a punt. Yep, there was no running back in sight. He was stopped up. And here come the Saints. The Saints get the ball at about the 20, past the 30, out to the 33-yard line. So a good field position to start the drive for the New Orleans Saints. And there, Drew Brees is going to have the football. 17 yards away from midfield. Not bad field position, to say the least, for Drew Brees and the Saints. Can they put the first touchdown on the board of this game, though? That is the question. Drew Brees hands the ball off to Alvin Kamara, who gets absolutely blasted by Harrison Smith, who has just been playing with the utmost of haste in this one. His 8th tackle. He has 2 forced fumbles in this game already. He has been playing so well keeping Minnesota in this game. Harrison Smith is the difference maker right now for Minnesota's defense. But there is a big first down play from Drew Brees to Jared Cook, and that's going to be another fresh set of downs for the Saints. Drew Brees, like, after throwing that interception, has gotten a lot better. He's had 2 unfortunate mistakes by his receivers, not holding onto the ball against the powerful Harrison Smith. But there's a fake handoff, has time, going deep, and Harrison Smith almost intercepted it, but it was caught by Michael Thomas. I think it's coming back. Illegal touching on the offense because he was hit out of bounds, and that's going to result in a 2nd and 10. That was a really, really close play. Harrison Smith tried to pick that ball off, and if Michael Thomas didn't step out of bounds, that was a touchdown. Wow, that was almost an incredible play. But regardless, the Saints do hook up with Jared Cook for another first down. So the Saints are driving here with 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Tie game, 9-9. Both defenses have come to play today, but the Saints offense is starting to drive a little bit. And the Vikings got to be on their toes. Drew Brees starting to get on the groove on this drive. Sits under center. Hands the ball. Nope, fakes the handoff. And Danielle Hunter strip sack. And Alvin Kamara dives on the ball at the 48-yard line. Or, sorry, that's Everson Griffin. My apologies. Everson Griffin gets the strip sack. And that was almost a big turnover for the Saints. But 2nd and 20, New Orleans has the football and two attempts to get it 20 yards down the field, or at least into field goal range. Alvin Kamara takes the ball up past the 45, or I guess they count it at the 45. I thought he got it to the 44, but no. 3rd and 14, 6-yard gain for New Orleans as Kendrick gets the tackle. So they have 14 yards on third down to try and get the first down, or at least maybe even half that to get at least within field goal range for Will Lutz. Here comes Drew Brees in the shotgun. And he's open, and they get the first down, and another big hit from Harrison Smith, but it goes out of bounds for a first down. Jared Cook got absolutely blasted by Harrison Smith again, but the ball somehow finds its way in Saints' favor. And now lined up in the I formation is New Orleans. They throw the football on the wide receiver screen to Michael Thomas, who gains 9, almost 10 yards out of it. In fact, they say 10 yards, second in inches. The Saints got very lucky that that ball went out of bounds. Harrison Smith is on a headhunt. Not in an illegal way, but just like in a pure football way. Getting that third forced fumble, even though it was his first one that it wasn't turning the ball over. And Alvin Kamara runs 18 yards out of bounds at the 2. So first and goal, New Orleans. And this is their best chance at the touchdown that they've had so far. Will we see a touchdown in this football game? That could be a real difference maker based on how this game has gone with no touchdowns so far. As here comes Drew Brees, they hand the ball off, open space, touchdown, New Orleans. And the New Orleans Saints get in the end zone. Levaticus Murray with his first playoff touchdown of the season for the Saints, for any of these two teams in this game. And Levaticus Murray runs past the marker there. And the Saints, with an extra point, will go up by a touchdown, 16-9. And they get it. 16-9. Saints. A big time play here from New Orleans. As they've had a major opportunity in this game, and they take the lead up by 7 at home. I know that's been kind of crazy to this point, but maybe the NFC is just different than the AFC in every facet of the game. But there is that 7-point lead that a lot of people assumed the Vikings were going to have to overcome to take down the New Orleans Saints, as the Saints were 7.5-point favorites in this game. Technically speaking, the Vikings are under the odds by a half a point. So if you bet on the Vikings right now, if the game ended right now, you'd actually win that bet, even though they lost. Regardless, the Vikings have the ball, and they have a 7-point deficit to overcome. As we got to look at this. What a brutal beatdown by Cameron Jordan and this Saints defense. It has been absolutely rough to have to take on this Saints defense to this point. And Kirk Cousins has to take it on again here to get all the way down the field. 75 yards for a touchdown to tie this game up. He's got time, so he doesn't have to get the touchdown now, but it would definitely help make things a little bit easier on both sides of the ball. There's the fake handoff after the low snap. It gets it to Adam Thielen, jukes out a player, and gets it to the 31-yard line. So a short little gain there for 5 yards, and the Vikings will have it 2nd and 5. So a big-time chance here for Minnesota to try and get things going in their favor. The Minnesota Vikings set up in the shotgun. An opportunity here. Getting ready, and Cameron Jordan, 5 sacks in a game, in a playoff game. Unbelievable. Cameron Jordan is having the game of his life right now in the biggest stage for the New Orleans Saints, 3rd and 12. After another Cameron Jordan sack, his 5th of the first 3 quarters, and there's still a quarter and 3 minutes to go. There's a pass to Adam Thielen, who takes it for a short gain, but that's not going to be close to enough. 4th and 8, and the Vikings are probably going to have to punt. Cameron Jordan could very well be the difference maker in this game. He has been unbelievably just everywhere, all over the field. He has given no time for the Vikings to be able to catch up. But here comes New Orleans, down to about the 28-yard line after the punt. And the New Orleans Saints offense has a real shot here to put another touchdown on the board and make that lead look that much more daunting for the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings defense has played well, but you're not going to stop Drew Brees and the Saints forever. You need your own offense to start playing some football. But against freaking Cameron Jordan's unbelievably record-breaking day, it's hard to believe that they even have a shot. But Drew Brees gets the ball short. He's got 239 yards and a pick so far in this one. Not super bad, but not super good either for Drew Brees especially. Alvin Kamara gets his third reception receiving the football, and Barr with his sixth tackle. You got to watch out for that man, number 22, Harrison Smith, who has had an unbelievable game for the Vikings, albeit not good enough. 2 forced fumbles versus 5 sacks by Cameron Jordan. There's just no question. But Harrison Smith has done everything in his power to make sure, well, 3 forced fumbles, 2 turnovers in this game. He's done everything he can to make sure that the Vikings have a shot to win this one. 1st and 10 New Orleans after the big play there. Less than 10 seconds on the play clock. Fakes the handoff. Alvin Kamara on the outside. And he gets it wide open to the receiver, and that's going to put him inside the 45. Drew Brees and the Saints look like they are in a zone, and that is not good if you're the Vikings defense. Drew Brees, if you get Drew Brees, the veteran, the myth, the legend himself in a zone, that is not going to be good. As Drew Brees looking to try and take on the Green Bay Packers, and that would be one hell of a showdown for the Saints in that one. Would the Saints be... I mean, the Packers would probably still be favored in that game at home in Lambeau, but what a game that could be if the Saints took on the Green Bay Packers and they up by 7 with the football with less than a minute in the third quarter inside the opponent's territory. That's a pretty good set of things to have happen to give yourself the best chance at going to Green Bay and taking on those Packers for your shot at the NFC Championship game. A lot of people, I mean, the Saints, the difference between the Saints, Packers, and 49ers are so small. All 3 teams at 11-3 this season. That is incredible. But I think out of all 3 of those teams, this might sound weird, but I think the Packers have probably the worst losses. I think that the losses that the Packers had, like Kansas City without any of their starting players, basically, I think that really shows you, you know, how they've been. But regardless, tiebreakers come into play. The Saints end up the 3 seed, unfortunately, with all, 3 of those teams having 3 losses. You just kind of get unfortunate luck. But here comes a pitch play to Alvin Kamara inside the 30. I thought he got to the 29, but regardless, a 2-yard gain. He gets just barely beyond the 30-yard line. As the Vikings need to try and stop the Saints from scoring any points on this drive. They need some big plays defensively. Maybe Harrison Smith coming through again. But you can't rely on one guy. And there's a wide open pass to Michael Thomas inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. And the Saints are driving. As New Orleans is on a roll right now. Xavier Rhodes with his first tackle of the game. If you can count that as a tackle. But Drew Brees is in a zone, and that is scary if you're the Minnesota Vikings. Drew Brees back to pass, throws wide open to his receiver, and he makes it to about the 5. So a second and inches. They can get a first down and get 3 more shots at the end zone. They just need a few inches to get past the first down marker. Pardon me. All right, they hand the ball off to Kamara, and a big hit by Harrison Smith, but he holds onto the ball. First down and goal. Under 13 to play in the game. Saints first and goal from the 3. The Vikings have a big chance here to make something happen and try and stop the Saints, but this could put it out of reach. The Vikings haven't been in the end zone all game. There's a good defensive play. That one was by Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr getting the tackle behind the line of scrimmage. A good defensive stop there as they're going to be down at the 5 on second and goal. Drew Brees steps back in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers and Alvin Kamara in the backfield. It looks like he's going to throw the football. He's got a man in the end zone, and he's got it. Touchdown, New Orleans. And the Saints take a 2-touchdown lead on the Minnesota Vikings. Well, it was such a close game, but the third quarter, that really did it in for Minnesota. And you've got to give some massive credit to Cam Jordan, who has come through in the biggest of ways with 5 sacks so far tonight, with still 12 minutes to go for a few more. Harrison Smith going to sitting on the bench. You can't really blame Harrison Smith for what has happened. It's been a hard game for Minnesota. And as you can see, the coach sitting down with his secondary, with his linebacking core. Kirk Cousins warming up. He knows that 2 touchdowns isn't impossible, but when you've scored 0, it's definitely going to be hard. There's Sean Payton paying off. What? No, I'm just kidding. There hasn't been very many penalties at all in this game for either team. As right now, the New Orleans Saints sitting at 14-point lead against the Minnesota Vikings. Make sure you guys, if you are enjoying these episodes, hit the like button. Let me know. Comment, all of that good stuff. But here comes the Vikings. An opportunity for Minnesota as he gets past the 30, or down to about the 30-yard line at the 29. I saw him fall, and I thought he'd fallen farther, but not at the 29-yard line. And here comes Kirk Cousins. Man, the spotlight is just not Kirk Cousins' favorite thing for sure. He has not been playing very well at all, and it's just gotten worse as the game progresses. But we'll see if he can try and make something happen here. Kirk Cousins and Cam Jordan with his 6th sack of the game. Unbelievable. I cannot even express how crazy this game has been, as Cam Jordan might just be the single greatest defensive performance we've seen in the playoff history. This has been absolutely unreal. 6 sacks on Kirk Cousins today. Wow, he's been a huge part of why New Orleans has been able to win this game, or be winning this game. They haven't won yet, but he's making sure that the Vikings have the hardest of times coming back in this one. Adam Thielen gets it for a big chunk there, about 13. I'll give it a 3rd and 6 after the sack. Thielen has 140 yards receiving. Diggs has been relatively quiet today. The Saints secondary kind of shutting him down, but it's hard to shut down the tandem of Diggs and Thielen, who both are just phenomenal athletes. And here comes... Oh, Cameron Jordan almost got in there again, but he was able to complete the pass down to the 46-yard line. First down, Minnesota. If they can get in the end zone here, this game will be far from over, but a stop here could really put a damper on Minnesota's season and really could put it to an effective end. They need to get in the end zone on this drive if they want to have the best chance at getting back in this. Minnesota throwing the football. Kirk Cousins to his receiver there. Nice little 7-yard gain. And that's going to bring up 2nd and 3. Treadwell's 2nd catch of the game so far. Minnesota has had so many struggles this season, playing in prime time in big games. And with less than 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Kirk Cousins needs to start playing big games. Big game football in big games, like right now. And he dumps it off for 4 yards, and that's enough for a first down. Kyle Rudolph gets his 5th catch of the game as time continues to tick down as Kiko Alonso able to get the tackle here. New Orleans in a really good position with a 14-point lead. But the Vikings are driving here. Probably their best drive of the second half, potentially, and is knocked down, and that was almost picked again. Number 26 had a pick earlier in this game, and that could have been his second. But it falls innocently to the ground, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and 10. Really, really close call there for Minnesota. That could have been really, really bad. And now here comes Kirk Cousins over the middle to Adam Thielen, and he takes it to about the 36-yard line, but that's going to bring up a 3rd and 3. They're not completely out of it by any stretch of the imagination, but it would definitely help them a lot if they could get the ball into the end zone. I mean, I feel like that's kind of obvious, but they want to do it now. And Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins, so a big-time sack there by Davis. And that's going to bring up 4th and 12 from the 45. And I think they're going to have to punt here. Cameron Jordan almost got at least half a sack there to just keep going up. But, yep, they're going to punt the football. Now, the question is, will they punt the football out at, like, the 27, or will it be good? That was a good punt. There you go. Down at the 9. Solid punt play right there. Definitely a much better punt than what we've been seeing this last couple of games. Really solid punt. That's what you like to see. The defense really needs to come through, though, with less than 8 minutes to go in a 2-possession game. That sack was massive. Drew Brees, you got to worry about the veteran Drew Brees in these type of situations. He steps back. He's going to throw on first down. He throws it to the outside. He wants to make sure that they're inbounds. And Harrison Smith with another strip. That's his 4th strip of the game. The 3rd forced turnover by Harrison Smith. And this man is just a one-man wrecking crew. Another fumble. Did his knee hit the ground, though? I will have to see. It might have. That's going to be a close call, but I think they're calling it a turnover. Adam Thielen, 10 receptions, 147 yards, and now the ball inside the 20. That is huge. No review. So I think they're just calling it as it stands. That is a fumble recovered by Minnesota for Harrison Smith's 3rd strip of the game. Unbelievable. And Minnesota winning the turnover battle but losing the war. He gets it out to his receiver, who gets absolutely smacked. And that's going to be 2nd and 10. You can't fault Harrison Smith's play. He has done everything in his power to make Minnesota competitively viable in this game. But it's still a 14-point deficit. Can Minnesota change that offensively? 3 forced turnovers and 4 forced fumbles. Gets it out to Dalvin Cook for a loss of a yard. And that's going to bring up 3rd and 11 for the Vikings. They cannot be kicking a field goal here. They cannot. An 11-point game? No, not with 7.5 to go. They absolutely need to ensure that they get in the end zone here. They cannot be going for field goals. If it's 4th down, you got to go for it, in my opinion. They hand the ball to Adam Thielen. Terrible play call. And that's going to lose him another chunk of yards. And that's going to bring up 4th and 14. Absolutely horrendous play calling by the Vikings on that one. And that's going to put them back. Yeah, not good. But here we go. 4th down. They are, in fact, going to go for it. Probably the right decision. Even if they miss it, you can't really take that chance. And it's intercepted. Marshawn Lattimore's second pick of the game. And the New Orleans Saints will take over at the 20. So they actually gained yards because of that. That was actually probably a good pick for them. Because if they would have dropped it, it would have been down at the 17. So really solid pick. And who can turn down picks regardless? It's just really hard to do. So Drew Brees, single backfield. They're probably just going to run the clock down, up by 14 with less than 7 minutes to go in this one. You got Tyson Hill there at the fullback position. And Kamara gets a yard, maybe 2. 2nd and 9. Well, this is exactly why we finally get one that is going as predicted, as the Saints are up by 2 possessions here. They're expected to win by 7.5, or they're 7.5 point favorites. So, I mean, this isn't out of the realm of possibility, but Drew Brees going over and almost caught, but almost intercepted as well. Good defense there. That's going to bring up 3rd and 9. 6:15 with all 3 timeouts. Not out of the game just yet for Minnesota. So we're not going to count the chickens before we hatch. But it is going to be a very uphill battle for Minnesota to win this football game, especially with how they've been playing with no touchdowns. That forced fumble by Harrison Smith. Another failed opportunity for Minnesota. And there is a first down for the Saints. That's brutal. That is a brutal play. And that is going to be a first down for New Orleans, up by 14 with less than 6 minutes now on the clock once they get to the line. Yep. The Saints burning the clock down under 6 minutes. They hand the ball to Kamara. Kamara gets smacked, and Harrison Smith recovers the fumble that he forced. Oh my God, dude. He has forced 5 fumbles in this game. Harrison Smith has forced 5 fumbles in this game. What an unbelievable day for Harrison Smith. Absolutely crazy. The Minnesota Vikings lining up in the shotgun. They have the ball again. Another Harrison Smith opportunity to give them the football in good field position. And he just throws the ball away. No one in the area for 3 interceptions tonight for Kirk Cousins. And he has really dragged this team down. He has really dragged this team down. They had so many opportunities, but this guy just cannot get the ball to his receivers. He gets the ball to the other team and the sideline just fine, but not to his receivers. Shotgun, has time, steps back, looking deep, has a man, and he caught it! Touchdown, Minnesota! I stand corrected. He got it to his receiver there, and Johnson comes down with it, and that's going to put him an extra point away from a 1-touchdown game late in the 4th quarter. All 3 timeouts still on the board for Minnesota. And here comes the kick, and it is through the uprights, 23-16. New Orleans has just a 7-point lead. A huge, huge play there by the Minnesota Vikings. Massive, massive play. Massive play by the Vikings on that one. 7 points separate these 2 teams once again. And the Vikings defense, that Harrison Smith guy out of Notre Dame, I'm telling you, this guy can ball. He is one hell of a football player. And he has forced 5 fumbles in this game somehow. But Cam Jordan has 6 sacks. So, I mean, both sides of the football, the defense has just been the key. 23-16. And a big defensive play. Almost. Alvin Kamara has just kind of been silent, you know. Not too bad, but not too good either throughout the course of this game. He's had a lot more carries for 1 yard less in the second half than he did in the first so far. But there's still plenty of time. 5.5 minutes to go in this one. The Saints do have the lead. So they'll probably try and run the football a little bit more frequently. But as you can see, Harrison Smith on the line of scrimmage, ready to go after the running back, I think. They hand the ball off, and there, yep, Harrison Smith in on the tackle. And it almost broke that tackle. Yeah, he's got 12 tackles, a tackle for a loss, 5 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery. This man has just been all over the place. What did I say at the beginning of this broadcast? I said that he was going to be a factor in this game, and I tell you what, he has been a factor in this game for sure. Though not enough of a factor, apparently. And that's going to knock Kamara down. That's going to put us under 5 minutes in the fourth quarter with 3rd and 9 here. The Vikings still have all 3 timeouts. And if they stop them here, they will have all 3 timeouts and the football with a 7-point deficit to overcome. Drew Brees stepping back, has a chance, throws deep, and he's got a man. And once again, on 3rd down, Drew Brees completes the pass for a monster first down. And that's going to get them the ball at the 42-yard line. Less than 4:10 to play in the fourth quarter. In fact, less than 4 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Drew Brees on the line, single backfield. Looks like they're probably going to try and run the football. You can't really blame them there as they try to run down the clock. And Kamara plows through a couple guys and gets to midfield as the clock continues to run. A 7-point New Orleans lead. 3:40 and counting in the fourth quarter. New Orleans has the football and the lead. That 3rd down was massive for New Orleans. Drew Brees hands the ball off to Kamara. Kamara gets past the 30 or the 45 inside to the 42. Under 3 minutes to play in the game, and the Saints have another first down. The Vikings have to start using those timeouts sometime soon. Another first down for New Orleans, but they might wait until under 2 minutes. But by then it might be too late. Drew Brees getting ready. He's going to snap the ball at 2 seconds. He's going to throw. He's going to throw on first down to Michael Thomas, who gets it inside the 40-yard line. And that's going to probably bring us to the 2-minute warning. Wow, this drive has been everything Drew Brees and the Saints could have possibly wanted. The Vikings gave it everything they got here at the end of the game. And that is going to bring us to the 2-minute warning. So thank you guys for watching this broadcast so far. And I hope you guys are excited for the last 2 minutes of this game, because it has been pretty wild. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts on the games to this point. Drew Brees, single backfield, hands the ball to Kamara, who's stopped immediately, and a timeout called there by the Vikings. 1 minute and 56 seconds remain. Harrison Smith grabs tackle number 13 on the game. He has done everything in his power to give Minnesota the best chance at winning. And with a 3rd and 4 coming up, he's just going to have to give that much more if the Vikings want to have a shot at playing the 49ers next week. Drew Brees, I formation. Hands the ball off to the running back, who is tackled, and timeout is called. 4th down. At the 34-yard line, Will Lutz can kick this. It's going to be not an easy kick by any stretch of the imagination, but he is on the field ready for the field goal. He kicks this, that could end it. That could legitimately seal the deal. If Will Lutz gets this 51-yard field goal at home. We've seen him do it before, under 2 minutes. And it's good. The Saints take a 2-score lead with under 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. That could just do it. A 51-yard field goal. I feel like it's almost fitting that the New Orleans Saints have this happen in what could be their last home game of the 2019-2020 season. To have it start on the first week of the regular season with Will Lutz kicking the field goal from over 50, and it end with Will Lutz kicking the football over 50 to win both of those games. It just seems fitting. But the question is, will Minnesota shock the world in 1 minute and 48 seconds and pull off the impossible? It's going to be a miracle to do it. Here comes Kirk Cousins onto the field here. An opportunity for Kirk Cousins to shave off all the naysayers that say he can't win big games. He's got to make something damn near impossible happen from their own 25-yard line. But he has a chance to do it right now. 10-point game. Here comes Kirk Cousins. Going. Throws the ball short on the screenplay. And he's going to lose a yard or two on that one. It's going to be 2nd and 11. Well, that's not going to do it. And time ticks down. That is definitely one of the biggest issues, is that time is a factor, and the no-huddle offense has been nerfed in Madden 20 from Madden 19. And there's a big jump he's got to do to get that football, and a flag is down, probably a holding on the offense. I think this game is over. I think that one is going to, like, I mean, I thought it was over at 10-point lead, but I think that holding penalty right there, that pretty much seals the deal for Minnesota. They're going to need to go 86 yards, get a touchdown, get the onside kick, and kick a field goal just to go to overtime for a shot at winning the game. Here comes Kirk Cousins. He throws the ball short, and it's not even going to be close to enough. 1 minute remains in the football game. 2 scores are needed. This one is over. That miracle in the Meadowlands can't happen if we're not in the Meadowlands, that's for sure. Or miracle in Minneapolis, not in Meadowlands, but whatever. They both start with M, you get the idea. 4th down, and with 46 seconds to go, I think you just punt the ball. New Orleans takes the knee, and the Saints will play the Packers in Lambeau as the first team that's supposed to win wins. Nope, they're going to go for it. You got to give them credit for at least trying here, but looking deep. He's got a man, and Stephon Diggs catches the football past midfield. There's no, I mean, you got to get on the ball to try and get things going. I will say that I think they made it too long between plays for the hurry-up offense, the no-huddle. I definitely think that was a big issue, and as you can see, a very poor play-calling choice there with 18 seconds to go to throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage for -2 yards. I think Minnesota might just have given up at that point. Didn't even, like, spike the ball or anything like that. They just threw the ball for -2 yards and called a timeout. Probably the worst thing you could have done there. Here comes Kirk Cousins going deep. He's got nobody. Oh, my God. He actually almost had somebody. It was in and out of the hands of his receiver, as Johnson could have had another big play. And it's 3rd and 12 with 13 seconds to go here in New Orleans. The Who Dat chants are creeping up as they get ready for their trip to Lambeau. And Kirk Cousins throwing deep, and he completely misses the target. And with 8 seconds left, there is not enough time to get into the end zone and kick an onside kick and kick a field goal. I just don't think there is. I can't imagine. Here comes Kirk Cousins, and they just hand the ball off on 4th and 12. I mean, out of all the plays they could have done, they could have, like, ran around and then taken a knee and just ended the game, but instead they tried a draw play on 4th down and 15, and I didn't know Freddie Kitchens was the coach for the Minnesota Vikings. I thought he got fired for Cleveland, but I must have picked him up when I wasn't looking, because that was a horrible play call. Regardless, there is the knee, and the New Orleans Saints have won the game and will head to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. Thank you guys so much for watching this exciting game. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave the like, leave the comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And we will meet you all for the last game of Wild Card Weekend. The Seahawks in Philadelphia to take on the Eagles to see who will play the San Francisco 49ers, the #1 seed in the NFC.